Hi, I am Ravi, and in this video I'm going to explain what are closures just for my interview preparation. So let's start. Closure, let me write first. So a closure is the combination of a function and the lexical environment within which that function was declared. A closure is the combination of a function and the lexical environment within which that function was declared. A closure is created every time a function is created, and it helps a function to access the variables declared outside of its scope. So even after the outer function completes its execution, the inner function still has the access and remembers the variables from the outer scope. Let's understand this with the help of an example. So here I will create a outer function. Let's create this function, and then I'm going to create an outer variable inside this using let outer variable, and let's say that I am an outer variable. Okay, then let's create a function inside this named inner function. So I will create a function inner function, and inside this inner function I'm going to console.log the value of the outer variable, and then at last I'm going to return the inner function from this outer function. So I'm going to return inner function here. Then I'm going to execute this. So basically I'm going to call this outer function and store its execution inside a variable. So I will create a variable named closure function, and I'm going to call this outer function here. So this function, closure function, will now have the inner function inside it, and then even after this outer function has completed its execution, if we call this let's call this closure function. So even after the execution of this outer function, this closure function will still print the outer variable. That means the inner function has access to the outer variable. Let's verify this. So I will run note. So let's go inside this directory, and then I will run node demo closures.js. So here it is printing I am an outer variable, and if we try to console.log this closure function, we will be able to see the inner function inside it. So here we are seeing this function inner function. That means this definition holds true because this is the function and this is the lexical environment within which this function is declared, and this function has access to this outer variable. Let's further understand this concept with the example where we will use a counter variable. So let's create a function as, let's use camel casing counter, and then I'm going to create a variable as count, and I will initialize it with a value of 0. Then I'm going to create a function inner counter function, and then I'm just going to increase the value of this count, and then I'm going to console the value of count here. Then at last let's return this inner function from here, not call, just we need to return. Then at last I'm going to call this counter function and store its output inside a variable that will lead to a closure. So let's create a closure function, closure counter function. And in here I will just call this counter function, and let's also check the console of this variable. So this will obviously print the function inner counter function, and then let's also print the function call of this closure counter function. Let's call this function, and so this first console will print the function inner counter function, and the second console, which is closure counter function being called, this will print the value which is 1, because we are increasing and then printing. And if we further want to check if this function is forming closure or not, so we can check this by using another console. And if I think we don't need this console here, because we are already consoling this here. Okay, right. So this console will print the output as a function of this inner counter function, and this closure counter function being called first time will print 1, and the second will print 1. So let me write the output. It will print 1 and this will print 2. Let's just comment this first example for a bit, and let's clear the terminal and let's see the result. So the first console is printing the function inner count function, and the second is printing 1, and the third is printing this 2. So this is what our closure so this is what our closure is. It is when a function has access to the variables declared in its outer scope. So it's a simple enough concept. That's all. Thanks.